So about a week ago, I made a video featuring Marty the Robot, which is starting to show up in Stop and Shops all across the country, patrolling the aisles for spills, and not actually cleaning them up, but just shouting for an employee to come with a mop and clean it up themselves. I mean, really, you would think that a robot that cost as much as a new car would be a little bit more productive. Now, as off-putting as Marty's googly eyes may be, he's relatively harmless. Like, if anything, he's really just more of a nuisance that gets in the way of your shopping cart when you're trying to get groceries. And yeah, if I was a supermarket employee that had to actually take orders from Marty, I would probably try to build an EMP at my home and then take it to work one day to assassinate Marty. Now, I'm sure that I would lose my job, and sure, I'd probably end up on a no-fly list and spend some time in federal prison for assassinating Marty. But I'll probably just spend my days during that time in my cell writing memos to radicalize the youth against the robot menace. But here's the thing. The robot menace is much worse than you thought it was. Apparently, Marty has a cousin named Xavier who's living in Singapore, and guess what? He's a fucking cop. He's an actual RoboCop in Singapore that patrols the streets using 7 onboard cameras to make sure that nobody is engaging in any undesirable social behavior. Here is a video of Xavier in action. So he's rolling around, letting you know that littering is an offense. Or maybe he's saying loitering is an offense. I think he's saying littering. But I wouldn't be surprised if he barks at people not to loiter either. And it's saying that smoking is bad to health, so I don't know if that's actually illegal in Singapore, but it seems that maybe it wants to just remind you to not engage in unhealthy behavior.
Littering is an offense. Please do your litter. Please keep 1 meter distancing.
Oh yeah, and of course it's got to tell you to do social distancing.
Please keep to 5 persons.
Of course that's a function that's built into it. Yeah, I'm telling you to have less than 5 people per group.
1 meter distancing. Littering is an offense. Please bin your litter.
Now, Singapore already has a pretty widespread surveillance network. It's not quite as vast as China's, but they do have over 90,000 police cameras installed on lampposts throughout the country with facial recognition technology built into them. And I'm sure that Xavier has the same thing built into his cameras as well, so that the police over there can have eyes on the ground and in the air. Now, luckily, Xavier doesn't have any weapons, at least not yet. The only thing really keeping Xavier from getting a Glock and a taser is public opinion, since an unarmed surveillance bot that barks orders at you is already unsettling enough. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I just won't go to Singapore. Their government is clearly too much into the whole deep surveillance state thing. I'm just going to stay where I have my freedoms, and the police don't use robots, and they infringe on our rights themselves the old-fashioned way. Yeah, I thought that too, until I stumbled upon this thing while researching Xavier. Yes, this is exactly what it looks like. This is basically a robot cop, but this is one that's in America, or at least being tested in America. So you can see that the robot is attached to this car here, and it's supposed to slide out on rails up to the passenger side window and basically do the whole license and registration thing. Now, right away, there's a few major design flaws that I can see here. For one, the rail that goes on this police car is so low to the ground that it looks stanced. This car here, this police car, is not going to be able to go over any speed bumps or over any potholes without wrecking these rails and possibly the robot that's on them as well. Also, this rail really doesn't look long enough. Like, I'm criticizing just the design of it right now, but I'm kind of surprised that when they made this commercial that we're going to watch, that the person getting pulled over wasn't just in a two-door sports car or like some type of Fiat or something, because you can see that when it's pulling up to this car, we'll let it extend all the way. So you can see at that point, it's pretty much fully extended here, and this guy is parked like probably not even 2 inches behind this car, which is way too close. That's not actually going to happen on a traffic stop. But yeah, if this person is driving like a pickup truck or anything, a station wagon, anything that's a little bit long, I don't think that this arm is actually going to be able to reach it. And by the way, this stick here, which is going to start dropping in a second, that is actually a spike strip, which it just puts in front of your rear tires so that you can't drive off. Hopefully, it never malfunctions and stays out after the traffic stop is over. You know, a lot of cops, they already want to make stops longer than they're supposed to be. So I would hate for it to have to also be longer, or, you know, for a robot to have to contribute to those longer traffic stops.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Do you know why I pulled you over?
Also, is that just me, or is it having a helmet creepy? Because it's like, you're trying to make it human almost, but everything about this is not human. Like, it's not humanoid at all. It's not quite in the uncanny valley, but it's still pretty creepy to me.
No, sir.
You're speeding in the school zone. Can I please see your license and registration?
Yes, sir.
So get your license, registration. I guess the robot can't be nervous about you pulling a gun out of the glove.
There's a barcode. You pull that up to the small blinking scanner.
Yeah, so it scans your license, and if you have warrants, it deploys a flashbang. Just kidding.
Ms.
That
Brewer,
feature isn't
thank
included
you.
in this model.
Please hold your registration up to the main camera close.
I would be interested, though, just like how exactly they would handle if someone actually did have like felonies or a warrant or something like that on their license. Like, do you go ahead and just go into a felony traffic stop with the robot there? I mean, it seems like it would be kind of difficult to both get the person out of the car and like retract the robot and not just have them pull off while it's retracting.
Up to date, thank you.
Like, lots of tactical nightmares I'm thinking of if I was the cop that had to work
There's
with
a
this bot.
small signature pad. Please use your finger to sign your name. Thank you. Your citation is being generated and will print shortly. When it's all done, you can pull it and take it with you.
So they print the ticket out on the robot.
Drawing the arm. Please do not drive away until
So full traffic stop without actually having to make contact with them. Like, I get why some cops might want to have this, but it's very sus.
Thank you, sir. You
And
too.
then the robot goes ahead and retracts, and the traffic stop is done, and then, you know, you can pull off. Now, I've seen a couple videos about the same robot that are 2 years old, so I'm guessing that there are still a lot of bugs that need to be worked out. I've never personally seen this robot in action, not even in Boston, and you know, we do tend to get some high-tech stuff like this pretty early, but I really doubt that this thing would just be used for traffic stops. You know, it's only a matter of time until some sort of object recognition is built into these things to try to detect guns or narcotics in the car when somebody is pulled over. And, you know, eventually they're going to want to build in some sort of feature to the bot to try to detect the odor of marijuana so that the cops don't even have to say themselves that they smelled it. They could just say that the robot smelled it or that the robot smelled something. It's like Canine Units 2.0. Yeah, frankly, I don't trust this thing at all. I also bet some people who are cops wouldn't trust this or wouldn't want to work with it at all. You know, you don't want any unknown variables when things get high stakes. It would be really annoying to discover that you're on a felony traffic stop with a robot hanging off the front of your car. And another thing that I just thought of is that these things are probably going to be pretty useless for pulling over motorcycles. Like, Avoiding the spike strip would be a piece of cake on a motorcycle. Like, you can literally just move your bike over. And it's already hard enough to chase a motorcycle in a car, probably impossible when you have to wait for RoboCop to retract before you can then step on the gas, because obviously you can't be driving around with it hanging off the arm. It's gonna, as soon as you hit a bump, the whole thing's gonna fall off and you're gonna wreck your car. So yeah, the RoboCops suck, but they are yet another aspect of the surveillance dystopia that is our world.